Saving America one entrepreneur at a time, it's the Biz Wrap Podcast with your host, Michael Manahan. The show that celebrates small business and entrepreneurs, it's Biz Wrap Radio with your host, small businessman, educator, and author, Michael Manahan. And welcome to another edition of Biz Wrap Radio. It's your host, Michael Manahan, and thank you so much for joining me today. Of course, Biz Wrap Radio is the show all about small business and entrepreneurs. Yes, we're here fighting the good fight for the entrepreneurs of America. Hey, you know, there's a war on in this country. No, it's not the war on drugs. It's not the war on poverty. It's the war on small business. Big government, big business are ganging up, and not to mention the fat cats on Wall Street are ganging up to take advantage of you, the little guy. But what people don't understand is the small businesses of America is where most people in this country work. Yes, most people in the United States work for a small business. As we pulled out of the recession, most new jobs are created by small business, and yet the opportunity for small business has never been more difficult. The government has done everything possible to restrict capital flow into small businesses, to load small businesses with more rules and regulations than you can shake a stick at. It is today more difficult than ever to run and operate a small business. I just heard recently it took a yogurt shop 2 years to get the approval to open up in the city of Los Angeles. Can you believe that? 2 years to open a yogurt shop? My God. It's amazing people even bother. Yet the entrepreneurial spirit runs true and strong here in the United States. It's one of the things that differentiates us from many other countries in the world. It's the concept and idea that you can go out, create a business, take care of yourself, take care of your family, take care of your employees, and ultimately take care of your community. It's the self-sufficiency on which the United States was born. Instead of turning to the government and saying, take care of us, Mr. Government, we enterprise. That's right. We engage in the activity of enterprise, and we take care of ourselves. It's a beautiful thing. It's what's made this country the way it is. But, of course, the minute there's problems in this country, what does the government do? They're bailing out the fat cats on Wall Street. They're bailing out the big, inefficient corporations. And every week you read in the Wall Street Journal, yeah, these big corporations don't employ people. They lay off people. Have you ever read the headlines? You know, Hewlett-Packard cuts 30,000 jobs. Even I think Microsoft just had a big thing where they were cutting a whole bunch of jobs. And these are the companies that supposedly are the darlings of the industry to work for. So we're supporting small business here. We're supporting entrepreneurs on Biz Wrap Radio. Today, of course, what we do on Biz Wrap Radio, here we bring people who can help you with your small business. So typically we do one show. We'll have somebody on who's got an expertise in a certain area. We've had funding sources on the show. We've had bankers on the show. We've had lenders, leasing people. Of course, we've had people who can train you on sales, who can train you on internet marketing, social media, accounting, taxes, all of the things you need to do to operate your business more effectively. But today, we've got a very interesting guest because in terms of what we do here on Biz Wrap Radio, she's a little bit of a different and unusual person. I'm going to introduce her to you right now. Her name is Linda Joy Rose. She's a PhD. She goes by the moniker Dr. LJ. She's a therapist, author, and an expert in health living. And I'm just going to read this to you. I don't often like to read things on the air, but this is such an intriguing description of who she is. She is a pioneer in the training and implementation of hypnotherapeutic training and subconscious dynamics worldwide. Wow. That's bigger than a steak. I can hardly get my teeth around it. Dr. LJ, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Mike. It's a pleasure to be here. And I loved your intro because I totally agree with everything you were saying.
Well, that's wonderful. Now, you got to explain this to me because I think I'm a pretty savvy guy, but I'm not sure what hypnotherapeutic training and subconscious dynamics is. What is that? Bring that down to the real world for us.
I think when people hear the word hypnosis, they automatically have the concept in their mind of the hypno show where somebody is, has the watch kind of going back and forth and telling them that they're going to cluck like a chicken. And what's sad about that is that hypnosis is really such an amazing way to get to the source of our problems. You can go, I was studying actually to be a psychoanalyst, Carl Jung, Jungian psychoanalyst, and you can go through years and years and years of training, but with hypnotherapy, you can go right to the source. And so the subconscious dynamics are really what move us. We have belief systems, and everybody has desires for more money, more fame, more love, but it's really what you believe on that subliminal level. And so that's what subconscious dynamics are, getting to the source.
So do you think, just to put this in the perspective of an entrepreneur, I know an entrepreneur, friend of mine, he's probably started 15 businesses. None of them have ever succeeded. Do you think that subconsciously within him there is something that is keeping him from succeeding, or does he just pick dumb businesses to be in?
Well, even the choosing the quote dumb businesses, I think, comes from a subconscious pattern that it's really belief. And when you consider the subconscious mind, I guess the best image would be the iceberg. I think everybody's seen Titanic, and so you see the iceberg, this big mountain coming out of the water, and that's supposedly what you see is only about 10%. And it's really what's below the surface is the 90%. So even though we all desire more and better, it's what we really believe, and those belief systems are formed generally in the first 6 to 12 years of life. So yes, I do think that there is some sort of self-sabotage going on in a case like that.
Interesting. Now, a couple approached me who were in the counseling business, actually. That is their business. They do counseling for here in the city of Los Angeles. I believe they work with a lot of the inmates who are getting out on parole to try and reform their behavior. But they've developed something called the needs-based method. Needs-based method. They've actually wrote a book on it. I think it's a very popular book, and they do seminars and talks. But they talk about actually going back and finding out the root causes of your behavior, and what they claim is there are needs that are created when you are a young person, as you mentioned, under the age of about 12, and there's needs, and that a lot of your behavior is driven because those needs, for whatever reason, are unfilled. Is that kind of a similar thing? Is there kind of a different branch of what you're engaged in?
I think that they're using kind of a combination of the Freudian model and also the Abraham Maslow, the hierarchy of needs, which I love Maslow, and so if you imagine a pyramid, we're busy fulfilling the basic needs, which are needs for shelter, need for having some sort of a meaningful profession, et cetera, et cetera. And so as you move up and you fulfill those needs, you can get into the meta needs, which is where you want to help others in philanthropic words. So it does sound like they're coming from an interesting place. That I really work with, my specialty was helping adults heal from childhood trauma. That's what I kind of became known for. And I think there's causality in all of us, that of course you have to do with the needs, because children need love just as much as they need nourishment. And so it boils down to it, yes.
That's interesting topic. Now, of course, we're not only here to talk about your area of expertise, which is this hypnotherapeutic training and subconscious dynamics, but you've also are launching a newest endeavor. It's something called Design My Course. I want to get into that and find out what you're doing, because it sounds very, very interesting. But, of course, what always happens on the show, we've got about 1 minute left here in this segment before we have to go to commercial break. So I want you to give out your contact information. If somebody's listening to the show, they're interested in contacting you, what's the best way of doing it?
Just go to my website. I have a few websites. If you're interested in the hypno persona, that's drljrose.com. If you're interested in the wellness persona, it's just drljs.com. And of course, we'll speak of Design My Course, and that's just designmycourse.com.
Okay, fantastic. Now, of course, it's Mike Manahan, your host, Biz Rap Radio. We'll be back right after these messages. And welcome back to Biz Rap Radio. It's your host, Michael Manahan. Thank you so much for sticking with us. And if you just joined the show, this is, of course, Biz Rap Radio. We are the show all about small business and entrepreneurs. We've got a very interesting guest we are speaking with today. We've got on the phone with us Dr. LJ. Dr. LJ is a therapist, author, expert in health living. She's a pioneer in the training and implementation of hypnotherapeutic training and subconscious dynamics. Wow. Some other interesting things to note about her. She's a director of the International Development for the American Board of Hypnotherapy. And who even knew there was an American Board of Hypnotherapy? And again, Dr. LJ, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
So we talked a little bit about in the last segment about your area of expertise, which is this kind of hypnotherapeutic training and how you can utilize that to kind of go back and I guess find out what happened in your childhood and maybe use that to address problems or issues you might be having in your life. But you've just launched something new. It's called Design My Course. Talk to me about Design My Course.
And you'd be surprised how much psychology I use in that, too. Okay, so just a little bit of background. I did this international training for about a dozen years, and then I decided to, I have no idea why, I decided to start a company, a products, aromatherapy-based products, and that was very, very much out of my wheelhouse, and I really kind of started neglecting taking care of my health, and I wound up with an autoimmune disorder, which I completely healed by adhering to a different lifestyle. So I became very well known as an expert in healthy living, holistic health, and I started doing a lot of TV shows. I write for Huffington Post for the Healthy Living vertical. And so at the time, I realized that there were a lot of people that were wanting to train in this new field of coaching, life coaching and holistic health coaching. So I decided that with my background, I would launch an online academy. So I did that in 2013, and it was great. Like even when I was sending out the emails about it at the end of 2012, we already had a half a dozen people signed up even before we started launching the course. So it was it worked out very well for me, and I last year decided to start helping and empowering entrepreneurs and small business owners to get into the online business because it is a very booming business right now.
So what do you mean by that, get into the online business? Can you what specifically are you talking about?
Okay, so most people, yourself included, have expertise that you have acquired over a lifetime in whatever area of endeavor, whatever area of business. And there are people who are willing to pay money for that niche information that you have.
Gotcha.
So when I decided to launch my course, there were holistic health courses, but there was something that I had read that was really influenced me. It was Margaret Mead. I don't know if you remember the anthropologist, Margaret Mead.
Sure.
Said that it's easier to change a person's religion than the way they eat. And I thought that was so meaningful, and because I work with the subconscious of people, and I understand that eating is something that is very much forms who we are. It's the acculturation we have, our family dynamics, the way you were given a cookie when you fell down or when you were crying to make you feel better. So I decided to be the first one to combine life coaching with the health coaching, meaning that there would be subconscious dynamics involved, that we would teach the coaches how to help a person, not just tell them what they need to do, but help them make that change. And so this became very popular. The fact that I had this unique way, this niche market of getting people interested. And so by offering the course online, and there is an optional 2-day training they can come in for, and we used to do those, but now we're in 14 countries and we can offer everything online, including we videotaped that in-person portion of it too. We also have a production company. My husband's a producer and director. And so all of it is online, and people can study this in their time, and whether it's on a computer, on their phone, on their tablet, they can complete the qualifications needed and then get the certification to become a holistic health coach, which is a credential that they can use to earn additional income or to make it as many have, the main source of their income. And so this is just one particular type of an online platform that entrepreneurs and small business owners can use to basically monetize their expertise.
Interesting. So let me just rephrase that to make sure I understand exactly what you're talking about. You, for a variety of reasons, one being your own health, you developed a more holistic, healthy methodology of living, and based upon you implementing that and then working with other people to help them in their lifestyles, you developed basically a training course that somebody can take, and once they've completed your course, they get basically a certificate that says they have completed the course, and they can go out and help other people to be to live a healthier lifestyle. Is that basically a good summary of what you're doing?
You got it, Mike.
Okay, and I think this is great because I'll tell you, I'm sure there's somebody listening and saying, "Oh, okay, well, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm trying to run my business. How does this help me?" Well, 2 ways. First of all, you may be an entrepreneur that is looking for a business, looking for a way to create extra income, and I'm a big believer in creating extra income. You may be working right now, but believe me, businesses come and go, even the big businesses. I've got sitting on my bookshelf, I think it's the 1985 or 86 edition of the best companies, the 100 best companies in the United States to work for. 50 of them don't exist anymore. At least another 20 or 30 have been involved in major scandals, layoffs, bankruptcies, and all the rest of the stuff. So, if you're out there and, maybe you've got a full-time job, but what the heck, rather than sitting there watching 3 or 4 hours of dumb television shows every night, learn something new, and you can practice your skill, your newly learned skill, in the evening, on the weekends, and earn a little bit of money. So the first kind of application for an entrepreneur is this could be a way for you to start a small business on the side. The second thing is I see so many entrepreneurs whose businesses are grinding them into the dust. Their lifestyles are just terrible. I remember visiting an entrepreneur, an elderly man. He's smoking. He's chain smoking on one hand. He's asked his secretary to get him lunch. She brings in a greasy pepperoni pizza. He wolfs down 2 slices of pizza while he's gulping coffee and trying to hold on meetings and smoking all at the same time. I thought, this guy is a heart attack waiting to happen. So,
really. Well, you said something about extra income, but what I'd like to reiterate is a lot of this income would be passive income. I mean, there's nothing like waking up in the morning and finding money in your PayPal account. And even though I mentor the students and I review their assignments, a very good part of the income that I make is passive. Now, this is just one kind of course. This is called a certification course, and I'll be happy to explain other courses. But, just to give you an example, in 2014, I was invited to speak at this big wellness event in London, and they were giving us a small stipend, but not paying for the full trip. And a colleague of mine from New Jersey was going to be there, and I've written 8 books. She's written 2 books. Great speaker, great author. But books are not necessarily where you can make your money. You need to really repurpose your information, whether it's books or articles or blogs or videos or YouTubes or even something like this, having a recorded interview. So we were at this conference, and she came schlepping books. I mean, that's a lot to have to carry. And she sold all of 7 books, Mike. I mean, 7 books, and she's a great speaker. And I sold a course, and I paid for my trip, and I came back, and I followed up with 2 or 3 people and sold 2 or 3 more courses. So the next year, she's like, please help me. I don't know how to take everything that I've done, which was considerable, and turn it into a course. So that's what I did, and that's really where I launched the business. I spoke to her about 3 or 4 months ago. She'd already made 6 times back the amount of money she invested in my helping her to write the course.
Wow, so that is absolutely amazing. So, again, the website is designmycourse.com?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So go to designmycourse.com. Find out more about what Dr. LJ is talking about. If you've got an area of expertise, maybe you've already written a book or you've written some training manuals, you're an expert on something, here's an opportunity to wrap it into a course, and you can sell that course. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you can sell that course, make yourself some additional money. And, I'm thinking about doing that myself because I'm an author. I have a radio show. I've published tons of articles about this, that, and the other thing, particularly in the area of raising capital. But you know what? We are coming up to commercial break. It is Mike Manahan, Biz Rap Radio. I'm talking with Dr. LJ, therapist, author, expert in health living, and we've been talking about her new enterprise, which is Design My Course, and we'll have more on that right after these messages. And welcome back to Biz Rap Radio. It's your host, Michael Manahan. Again, thank you for being with us today. Biz Rap Radio is, of course, the show all about small business and entrepreneurs. We're here trying to help you, the small business people of America, do what you need to do, which is make more money. Yeah, hey, that profit is not a dirty word. You need to go out there. You need to make profits. Have a nice, profitable business. Take care of yourself. Enjoy a nice lifestyle. Take care of your family. Take care of the people who work for you. And by the way, I'm a big, big proponent of that. I don't know what it is, but employers, if you watch the movies in Hollywood and television shows, you kind of get this impression that most employers are these trolls and ogres that are out there whose sole purpose in life is to make the lives of their employees absolutely miserable and to rip them off and take advantage of them. And okay, look at we got millions and millions. In fact, we got 30 million small businesses in the United States of America. I expect there's an ogre or two out there, but I'll tell you, some of the most compassionate and caring people I have ever met are small business owners, and I've heard small stories of small business owners going to the ends of the earth, literally, to take care of employees who've run into family problems, who have run into legal problems, who have run into health issues. So, you can't believe everything you see on the big screen. But back to today's show. I am here talking today with Dr. Linda J. Rose, Ph.D. She is known as Dr. LJ. She's a therapist, author, expert in health living. But her most interesting, well, I wouldn't say it's her most interesting, but she has just launched a new endeavor, Design My Course. And once again, Dr. LJ, thanks so much for being on the show today.
Thank you.
So we were talking in the last segment how somebody could go on to Design My Course and basically design a course around their area of expertise and kind of market or sell that course, make it a source of revenue. But let's talk a little bit about this industry. What's happening in this online training and teaching industry? Have you got any information on that?
Well, it's a huge industry. I mean, last year, I haven't tracked it this year, but last year Forbes magazine in January of 2015 had listed this industry at $48 billion, and it was expected to reach $115 billion by the end of the year.
Wow.
So it is booming. Yeah. Huge industry, because this is the wave of the future. This is how people want to get their information. And it kind of goes on that idea of KISS, but I use KISS in a very different way, the keep it simple, stupid. I call it keep it sophisticatedly simple. We have very short attention spans right now because we have so many different social media platforms, so many different things that are vying for our attention. And so I create courses that are very multidimensional. I psychological background really helps me to understand how people learn, and not everybody learns the same way. So you want to incorporate different learning channels such as audio, visual, experiential, different ways to really learn information that's going to stick with you, that you will find simple, but not so simple that you feel like people are condescending to you.
Gotcha. So, if I go on to design my course, do you guide me through that process? Do you have examples that I can follow so that when I'm developing my course, I can, produce one that's as good as your course?
Well, there are definitely places that are learning management systems that can help guide you. There's also something called Udemy. I don't really recommend that to people because not only do they take half of the profit, of course, they do get the word out there. They don't even give you your email addresses. And something really important about this business too, Michael, is that it is one that will build on itself. So for instance, when I started the Holistic Health and Life Coaching course and getting all these students in 14 different countries, and I decided to do an online hypnotherapy certification where all of it can be done online, but there is one particular aspect that they do need to come into Tampa to learn with me. 65% of my students so far have gone from one certification course, they finished it, and now they have given me another wonderful amount of money to continue studying with me. So I work with people to determine, there are so many. If I were to talk to you outside of the show, we would probably come up with at least 6 different courses. So usually the way they do it, and of course I was describing what I did as a certification course, but there are many different types of courses. Shall I explain a little bit about what they are?
Yeah, absolutely. Give us a few just examples of the types of courses that someone could create.
Okay, so there's a consumer course, and that would be, let's say you have specific information. So as I was learning about healthy living, I understood that we eat food that is very acidic and it causes inflammation. So I created something called an alkalinity challenge, which gave people 2 full weeks of information, motivation, everything that they needed, including shopping lists and meal planners and recipes and daily motivation, and they could ask questions in a forum. So this was a consumer course. This is information that people would buy into to use. And then there's professional consumer too. So for instance, if you know how to get this lending for people, this is something that you can create a course on. That would be a professional consumer. There are courses that are training. So when I was explaining to you kind of my journey after I had done all those years of international training and I had created this product line back in 2000 and 2001, I was really ahead of the curve in terms of having natural products for children that didn't have towels when they used aromatherapy. And I would have sales reps and brokers, and I remember that somebody once described my line as being an information-intensive line. And I could go out to the trade shows, which I really hated doing because I like to be kind of behind the scenes. I'm more of an introvert. But I would go out there and I could be very passionate and I could get the buyer to buy my products, but they were very rarely the one that was selling the products on the other end. Mm-hmm. So a course could actually be a great training tool. I really wish I had known about this then, because I could have had, their employees going through little training. I'm doing this right now for a company out of Connecticut that has created this wonderful medical product that's aromatherapy based, and they're doing a great job. The person who goes out and goes to the trade shows is wonderful at getting people to buy it, but they're not selling through. So we're right now working on designing a course that can give a kind of like a little certificate, like a certificate rather than a certification. And this is going to educate the distributors. It's going to educate the end person who's using it, or like these are used in medical operating rooms, et cetera, et cetera. Then you have your CEU types of courses. I write a lot of those, the professional continuing education credit. So or you can have just an online platform. Like I'm working with a doctor right now who's a vein specialist, and he does 4 specific surgeries constantly, and he's very tired of saying the same thing over and over again. And the staff has to always answer questions about recovery. So all of this we're putting in this little fun online course that has a combination of videos and audio and information. They can look at it, their family can look at it, it has information about their recovery, so that the doctor is going to make more money. It might not be income-bearing at the moment,
okay,
but
Dr.
certainly
Dr. LJ, hang on. I got to interrupt you because right now you're talking about doing all of this stuff, but who's doing all of this stuff? I mean, are you doing it for this doctor, or is he doing it? I mean, I'm a little confused.
No. I do the whole course. I mean, I will do everything from coming up with the ideas from the course to repurposing all of the materials, because most people have written articles or even handouts for workshops. I and my staff will do everything from editing the video or to creating the video to doing teleconferences if we need to add on. And then we do write the curriculum, write the content, or use the content from anything that's been written. And then we do the uploading to what's called the Learning Management System, the LMS.
Gotcha.
Or we can write it in.
You're actually not. This isn't a do-it-yourself type of a platform. You actually work with somebody and help them develop the course, and then it becomes available on your site, so they can use it either as a supplement, for instance, as to help people learn about a product or something, or alternatively as a method of generating revenue by spreading their expertise.
It's all correct except for it being on my site. It is on their own site. We either build it into their current work site or we use an existing LMS program. But it's not on my site. That's something that we want to eventually do is something like our own learning management system, so that people can we can host sites. But it's very inexpensive to add that application to, for instance, like if you have a WordPress site, there's something called Lifter LMS, there's LearnDash. It's very inexpensive to add.
Look, Linda, this is great information, but I've got to interrupt you because we do have to go to commercial break. It's Mike Manahan, BizRap Radio, and we're going to be back right after these messages. And welcome back to BizRap Radio. It's your host, Michael Manahan. Thanks again for joining us today on the show. If you just joined us, if you just tuned in, we are talking today with Dr. Linda Joy Rose. She's a PhD. She's known as Dr. LJ. She's a therapist, author, expert in healthy living. She is also a pioneer in the training and implementation of hypnotherapeutic training and subconscious dynamics, but we've been talking most of the show about her newest endeavor, which is Design My Course, which basically allows people who have a core expertise in something to design a course. Dr. LJ assists you in that process, and basically when you're finished, you have a course that you could sell and use as basically as a revenue generating system, or alternatively it might be something that supplements a product you're trying to sell, more of an educational thing for people who are going to use your product or be selling your product. So again, Dr. LJ, thank you very much for being with us on the show.
Thank you, and you just explained that beautifully.
Well, I think it's really exciting because I think, I'm just thinking I've got a company I'm working with right now. The company basically does cold-pressed juices. And what they do is they literally cold-press something like 40 different vegetables and fruits, and then they freeze-dry it into a crystalline formula. And then what you do is they have I think it's a 1-week, 7-day cleansing routine where you reconstitute their formula, their granular whatever it is. They've got 3 different products. I'm not quite sure how they all work, but they have a regimen where you go through this week-long cleansing process using a combination of eating healthy foods and drinking their cleansing formulas. And in order to do that, you really need to be constantly working with them because they've got the whole program laid out. It seems to me what you're offering would be a perfect thing for them to use to supplement the training that they give on their website for how you should go through this cleansing process.
Absolutely. And the nice thing, too, is that once you get somebody going through a course that you create, we do a funnel system. Usually with most of the entrepreneurs I work with, we'll come up with one course, and then as I'm repurposing information, we're going to already have several more programmed, even if we're just working on the first one. So it's easy. Once you get somebody that really likes your product, that's using your product, that's feeling results, for instance, that product sounds wonderful and I want to learn about it too, the one about the cold pressed juices, then people become your fans. They become your disciples, so to speak, and so you can offer other programs that give them more and more access to you if you're the creator of something, or to your staff. So yeah, it's really a wonderful way to clone yourself, to duplicate yourself, to bring in other revenues that you simply can't do. I say it's kind of something that can work 24/7 even when you can't.
I think it's great, and I think people need to be looking into this. So once again, if somebody is interested, they should go to designmycourse.com. Your contact information is there. They can contact you to learn more. But we got to talk about money. What does something like this cost? Because I'm sure there's people out there thinking, this is probably like really expensive. I don't know if I can afford it.
Well, they are usually. I mean, when my husband and I started looking at this, because I had written this course from my colleague Karen, and I started telling people and everybody. I mean, honestly, since I put out the shingle, so to speak, I've been consistently busy, especially working a lot with speakers because they need to have products to sell. The only ones that we found that were doing it were really high end, like for big corporations, the big corporations that you spoke about, big universities. And I only found one person who was doing coaching. She wasn't writing the course, writing your curriculum, doing any of the repurposing, and was charging like a minimum of $3,000, which is absurd because you can actually have a consumer course that's uploaded and working and earning you money for about that amount of money. So a consumer course, and it really honestly, Mike, it depends. It depends on how much repurposing I might have to do. It's all really based on time. My time a little bit more expensive, let's say, than the people who are doing the back end, which is good news because the techie stuff, which I don't do, but my staff does, is billed out at a very reasonable rate. So, when you're looking at a consumer course, you might be looking somewhere between like $2,500 to $3,500. Some of them may go to $5,000. A certification course might be between $5,000 to $7,500. But with the e-learning instructional design firms out there, you wouldn't be able to touch something for under $10,000. So we are geared toward the small business owner and entrepreneur. Our goal is for you to quickly make back in revenues what you've put out there. We sincerely want to empower people to do this.
Yeah, I mean to me that sounds pretty reasonable. I've got a little little background in entertainment and video production. I've been on a number of television shows over the years and been involved. I've had at least 3 or 4 clients in the entertainment industry, and that really is not much. I have friends who say to me, "Hey, Mike, I'm headed down to Jamaica for a week. It's going to cost me $5,000 to go to Jamaica for a week." Well, gosh, if you can go on a vacation to Jamaica for a week and spend $3,000 to $5,000, why not spend $3,000 to $5,000 on something that might actually put money in your pocket? It might help you.
Yeah. So while you're in Jamaica, you actually come home to money that you didn't have to do anything for. It's great.
Yeah. and I as a professor, I'm a professor of finance and accounting at California State University. I understand what you're talking about learning systems because we are using these intensively. When I went to college, you had a textbook, and the textbook was pages and pages of print. There was very few pictures, very few graphs or charts. It was just print, and you went through and you studied the textbook. The students can't learn from that today. We have all manner of different learning systems. We're using video, we're using PowerPoint, we're using audio. Or I'm even in the process now of taping my lectures so I can put the lectures online, because it's you believe it, a student listens through the entire lecture and their absorption rate is so small. So that's what we're dealing with. So if you're going to educate people about something, you've got to adopt the modern tools that are available, or you're not going to succeed at getting the
you got it. I mean, the infographics are very interesting to people. A new trend in e-learning is the gamification. Make things into a game. My students do very well with the courses that I create, because I make a lot of it experiential. They're already almost in a way operating as a coach. I might say, well, here's a metaphor for understanding the difference between between understanding the nutrients, and then go the macronutrients and the micronutrients. Now go and explain this to somebody and see what their reaction is. So that already gets them out doing something. They're not just learning something academic. They're learning things that they can go and they can apply, and that's the way we try to design all of our courses, to make them exciting. Some subject matters are not as exciting, but we've had a really good time with everything that we've worked with, and we're pretty booked, because this is something that I think a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners would like to get into this market.
Yeah, it sounds really exciting. I think you've come up with a great tool here that entrepreneurs can use to basically not only an added revenue stream, but a supplement to education about products or services that they provide. I think it's wonderful. Again, it is designmycourse.com, designmycourse.com. We're talking with Dr. L.J. Linda J. Rose, Ph.D. She is a therapist, author, expert in healthy living. Check out mydesign.com. Or my design course, it's designmycourse.com. Right. Let me say that again, because I just got tongue-tied, which I shouldn't do as a professional radio personality, but it's designmycourse.com. And again, Linda, thank you very much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Well, that's great. Again, check it out, designmycourse.com. This is Mike Manahan, your host of BizRap Radio. Remember, it's BizRap Radio. We are fixing the United States of America through a fundamental concept that individuals pursuing their own economic interests in free markets will create more prosperity for more people than can ever be achieved through government regulations and a planned economy. I am your host, Mike Manahan. Thank you so much for joining me today. We'll be back again next week with another edition of BizRap Radio.